there's always a difference between a leader that is highly resilient leading a team versus not. And I think it's sort of how do you train that consistently across a group of leaders, so that they all sort of have a similar foundation. I'm Joanna Papalios. I am an HR business partner. I've had a variety of different HR business partner roles kind of across a few different companies. I'm most currently the cybersecurity HR business partner, but my background's in recruiting, project management, chief of staff, and a variety of different teams across kind of highly regulated companies in healthcare and financial services.
Wow. Um, Sounds like that there's a lot involved in your work. There's a lot of different aspects of that, but I know like one aspect is kind of the training aspect of it. So I'm curious, like what was going on with the team that made you start looking for something like what we ended up doing?
Yeah, I think in many teams that I join and that I support, one of the things that they change is constant, right? As leaders, and especially in kind of high stress fields that are really really changing quickly, and especially with some of the advancements that are coming with AI and some of the highly technical fields. Something that leaders can really struggle with as they go through change is how do they maintain sort of that resilient mindset. And I've found that you can put all the change management frameworks in place that you want. You can make sure you have the absolute best talent and the best roles for them. And resiliency is often one of the things that differentiates really great leaders from moving teams through change versus anything else. I think one of the things that I've really found throughout my career, even for myself, is times when I've been able to sort of maintain a resilient attitude, a resilient mindset and approach with my team and with myself. I've done just so much incrementally better. And I think that the team that I was supporting at the time when you came in to do the training was really kind of trying to work through all the change and high stress situations that they had over the past several years. What leadership traits did they really need to work on to prepare them for what was coming in the future, because it wasn't stopping. And I think resiliency was really at the top of that list. How do we ensure, as an HRBP, one of the things you tend to see in organizations pretty quickly is where there's angst and noise, and where change can sort of create more positive versus negative angst and noise. And again, really, there's always a difference between when there's a leader that is highly resilient leading a team through that versus not. And I think kind of labeling leaders resilient versus not in organizations I've supported, and this one is probably not fair. I think many leaders in certain situations can be more resilient versus others in other situations. And I think it's sort of how do you train that consistently across a group of leaders, so that they all sort of have a similar foundation.
Yeah. Wow. That's a big task. Like to take a big group, a diverse group of people with all kinds of different experiences and ages. And I'm curious, like when you're thinking about training people in something like resilience, you kind of have this idea, you're like, hey, there's a character trait, there's a quality that, we want to see more of. How do you think about like developing that in a systematic way? Like, what are the things that kind of come into your mind in terms of like, these are the activities that you've seen work over the years?
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of it, Gabe, is interesting. You hit on when you came to talk to the group. I think a lot of it is around sort of self-awareness and sticking to the practices and principles that ensure you're taking care of yourself first. And I think a lot of leaders can struggle with that because they've come up through their career kind of putting themselves last and kind of burning the midnight oil, and sort of sacrificing their needs for their teams or for others. And I think that leaders that sort of have the discipline and the rigor to really make sure that they're taking care of themselves as they go through the different pressures that can happen in life. And as a leader, it makes such a difference. I think the other kind of piece is a team that has really, really crisp and simple sort of vision, principles, norms. They know what their purpose is, they know why they're there, and they really trust each other and they have a high degree of trust together. So that as you're sort of going through various different challenges as a team, you feel like you have each other's backs
Yeah.
and that you're focused on a common goal that's bigger than yourself than
Mhm.
themselves. And I think teams that really have that, and that definitely means, though, I think the most high performing resilient teams and leaders that I've seen are constantly debating each other. And so that's the thing that I
Mhm.
think can sometimes be misunderstood, is a team that is really high performing and resilient and can lead large organizations through sort of massive transformations isn't necessarily sort of all locking arms all the time, completely in
Yeah.
consensus. I think really resilient teams are sort of trusting each other, but then they have sort of a push and pull debate to really get to the best solutions together. And so I think sort of just a team that understands that and is really high functioning really drives resiliency. And then a team that has sort of that common purpose and vision that they're leading the organization towards, that
Yeah.
they feel really confident in. I think those types of things, but it all starts with a leader who is clear on what they stand for, why they are there, that is clear that they're not in it for necessarily a lot of external validation, that they understand sort of what brings them joy and what they do. I think that sort of is the foundation of it, which again, I think Gabe was really inherent and weaved throughout a lot of what you talked about as well.
Yeah, wow, that's it. I love that. Yeah, it's like getting everybody on the same page, but you have to have a leader who kinda has
Mhm.
that vision, and what you said about conflict made me think about Patrick Lencioni, in Five Dysfunctions of Team. He says, "After you build a high trust team, like, the next level is conflict." You
Mhm.
know that you have high trust when you can start, like you said, debating with
Mhm.
each other, and that's
Mhm.
an indication of resilience. So as you were thinking, Joanna, about, maybe reintroducing this theme of resilience, which is really important to you, and you've seen the importance of that, and you were thinking about bringing someone in to do a talk with the group. What made you decide to bring me in?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure, you guys could have brought in whoever you wanted. I'm just
Right.
curious, like, why me?
Well, I think a few things. One, I just have been so, as I've watched Greenhouse's journey, I think it does such a nice job of really meeting teams, companies, leaders where they are, and conversations with Steve and various other kind of coaches and the programs that exist at Greenhouse. And so I just felt like, hey, as we were crafting what we really needed for this offsite and what we felt like these leaders needed, I felt like Greenhouse would do such a good job, because I think a lot of training out there around resiliency has kind of other hooks into it and or are not primarily focused on resiliency. And I knew that anyone that we were working with at Greenhouse would sort of really talk to us about what we were hoping the leaders would get out of it and adapt and adjust sort of to what we needed. I also think you just had a tremendously exciting personal story. And I think so much of resilience starts with, again, like I talked about, defining your why and your purpose. And you can come in and give a framework and sort of take people through a worksheet and
Sure.
do some role playing around resiliency and things like that. But ultimately, resiliency sort of starts in such a base place, a foundational place of sort of intrinsically in who people are. And so I felt like the personal story that was weaved into so much of what you talked about would really resonate with this group, give them something to sort of true back to as they were thinking about building their own resiliency within their teams.
Yeah, well, it was a huge honor to come, and I know so many people in the room, had similar experiences to
Uh-huh.
me, in terms of government service and even on 9/11. And so, I shared that opening key story about my 9/11 experience. I'm curious, like, how did you experience the room as I was sharing that story? Like, how do you feel like that personal story impacted people in the room?
Yeah, I mean, I think to your point, there were people that got into their particular field because of 9/11 that were in that room. And so I think for several people in that room, there was a personal resignation with it. I also
Mhm.
think it's always just important in anything that we do to remind people that there's sort of bigger, bigger problems out there. And,
Sure.
I think specifically this population is focused on capturing, protecting, right? And so I think even people that didn't have as personal of a connection to 9/11, that there is sort of this resignation, it really resonates with them. Just the feeling of sort of protecting and keeping people safe, and I think that resonated as well with the
Mhm.
population and really allowed them to think about resiliency and from a standpoint of getting out of sort of capital one's problems or their team's
Mhm.
problems or and sort of think about the bigger picture, which ultimately is again why they're there, right? To keep our customers and our associates safe.
Yeah. No, there is just a truth that like story begets story. It feels like I know like when I hear a talk and somebody starts with a story, it immediately makes me start thinking about like points of connection in my own
Yeah.
story. And I think there's just something as humans that's just built in. I
Mhm.
remember even just like planning for that talk. It was so cool just with your planning leadership team. I felt that resonance, of connection. And so that was a lot of fun for me to know that like people kind of they understood the context. And some of them were there as well. So I gave a number of different tools to the team. You mentioned, one, kind of had a three-part framework on resilience, kind of self-resilience, relational resilience, and strategic resilience. Like out of those, like what do you think was most helpful to the team?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to pick. I think that self-resilience is something that our leadership team has been really focused on. And so like even the
Mhm.
box breathing and things like that that the group did is practices that we had continued to hit with them, but I think were just really helpful reminders. I think the strategic resilience is something that I really love the framing on that. And I know has come into several of the sort of ways we've thought about prioritization, or even as we think about our operating model, how do we think about sort of setting that strategic resilience up? Do we have sort of a connective tissue around mission and purpose? And is that as deep and necessary as we want? And does that go into our
Mhm.
strategy in a way that sort of resonates across the organization? I think that connection to resiliency was really mind opening for many people in the organization. And I think when people think about resiliency, they don't often sort of ground it in strategy. And I think that
Mhm.
connecting point was while sort of all the paradigm of sort of the three circles around it made sense. I think that was the one that had the most sort of light bulbs in terms of how people think about it and the impact that ultimately ends up having on the team.
Wow. Have you heard, like, has that come back up since the talk? Like, man, because I know I sent some exercises for after and
Yeah.
everything too.
Yeah,
Is that
definitely.
been
There's a
something that's
handful
been
of
talked
VPs
about?
that are using it with their teams,
Oh, cool.
for sure, and definitely as the leadership team has been thinking about sort of their strategy for this year, it's come up, and the self-resiliency work too is just kind of continues to be weaved out through many of the things that they're doing.
Wow. If we were going to do, and maybe like you're already thinking about this, but if you were going to grow more training on the strategic resiliency piece, like what means, because this is what you do for a living is, train people and think about teams and all that. What is the next layer of training look like from your perspective?
I think it's actually taking leaders through building what that looks like. I think
Hmm.
b forcing leaders to carve the time to design that for themselves and sort of coaching them on what that looks like and taking a leadership team kind of through the steps of
Hmm.
walking away. I think there's all sorts of trainings and most leaders sort of know how to do a vision, like a mission vision
Sure.
strategy, and then build OKRs or things like that after that. But I think really approaching strategy from a this is going to be something that withstands the test of time for our
Hmm.
organization so that we can face what's in front of us, I think is a different framing.
Hmm.
From how, from just sort of creating direction and allowing people to prioritize. And so I think coming at that strategic resiliency place from a lens of let's build it.
Hmm.
I think the second thing I would think about is how does an organization and or a group of leaders grade themselves on resiliency? So
Interesting.
especially in an organization that goes through an intense amount of change. I think organizations are used to getting scores and understanding how their associates feel about engagement or, you know, is it easy to get things done here or things like that. But if you sort of said like, how resilient do you think we are?
Mm.
I think that would be a really interesting metric to help organizations understand. And I'm sure it would have a correlation to how fulfilled and engaged associates are holistically and would ultimately help
Mhm.
their bottom line in a lot of ways.
Wow. No, that's really fun to think about for me. I mean, and this isn't like we're going off script a little bit on the interview,
Yeah.
but I think like for me, that whole framework came out of my military
Uh-huh.
experience where even like as a young officer, like every plan you make, all training is built in the military around disrupting whatever plan that you make. I mean,
Uh-huh.
that's so you create a plan and then you go practice it and then like immediately like they kill off the leader or they throw something at you that is like not expected. And
Uh-huh.
it kind of, but it would be interesting to think about like how could you do that? Like, in a business team, and think about
Yeah,
like
without
what would
killing
that
off
look
the
like?
leader.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Like, but like, how would you, to your point, like help people build a plan that included a resilient framework, but then actually test it as well in
Uh-huh.
in the safety of some kind of wargaming exercise or
Uh-huh.
maybe more robust planning. Anyway,
Right. Right. Because I mean, we do obviously like a ton of resiliency. We do succession planning. We do
of
all
course.
sorts of things in terms of like business resiliency and testing the
Mhm.
risk of our systems and processes. I think it's how do you test leaders resilience right through like if you throw them in
Correct.
like, similar to I'm sure what you had to go through in the military, like throw them into a crazy situation, how do they lead people through it? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, it's really fascinating to think about. So if somebody called you and said, "Hey, I'm thinking about hiring Greenhouse and Gabe for my team," what would you tell them?
Absolutely. I think it's I just feel like out of and this is part of why I just really enjoy Greenhouse. I think there's a lot of coaching offerings out there, but I think, both the suite of sort of speakers, coaches, different programs, I think it's a really like well managed, simple frameworks that you all produce are just amazing. And I think, just in my experience and the what you all provided and sort of how you catered to what we needed. It was just the quality was great, and I know we were really happy with it.
Oh, that's awesome. That makes me happy to hear that. If who do you feel like this particular talk on resilience and my 9/11 story, like who if we're talking about like who would benefit the most from it in terms of like level of leader, kinds of teams from your perspective?
Mm. I think really one kind of sweet, obviously, the executive population, I think, but I think one sort of sweet spot for it could really be new leaders.
Mm.
I think as I was mentioning, I think a lot of new leaders when they get into that first leadership role are trying to prove themselves through taking on more work, helping their team, sort of getting in it with their team, all of the things that, matter in some ways and have made them successful to date. And I think it takes leaders a really long time to kind of maybe not a really long time, but it might more painful than they realize in many ways to
Mhm.
really realize like, hey, if you focus on maintaining sort of a resilient mindset no matter what comes in front of you, that's actually going to make you a way better leader than you could ever realize. I think the earlier you can learn that and put that into practice, the better. And so I
Mhm.
think that could be a really powerful group. I do think groups that are sort of in these more high stress situations, I think of even, my own practitioner group of HR professionals that especially in today's day and age kind of post COVID are thrown into a lot of turmoil. And I think that that's a group that, groups going through kind of more high risk situations as well.
Yeah, that's a great thought. Of
Yeah.
course, the more stress that you're under, the more resilience you need.
Right.
And I think what you said too about younger leaders who are just starting off, there's things that are easier to learn in the beginning. Like certainly you can learn it at any point, but there's probably like a huge benefit to
Yeah.
training people
Your job
early
isn't
on.
to know everything, it's to maintain resiliency through all the things.
That's right. Yeah, I love that so much. Um, well, Joanna, is there anything that you want to add that I didn't ask you about?
I think just the follow-up is really great too. It was really nice that we were, had something that we could send out for folks. And so I know that the group really appreciated that. And I think it's probably the most important leadership skill set. Honestly, I just heard kind of somebody else very senior at our company say that again. Like it's because I think resiliency also sort of signals that you have a growth mindset, that no matter what, even if you fail or you make a mistake, you're gonna sort of dig in and figure out how to learn from it.